What if I told you that Ford once built a 720 horsepower quad-turbo V12 supercar capable of more than 250 miles per hour in 1995? And then they never built it. No production run, no racing program, just one working prototype that quietly vanished from the spotlight. But the real story of the Ford GT90 is far stranger than a canceled concept, because in the mid-1990s, this machine had the potential to challenge legends like the McLaren F1, Ferrari F50, and Bugatti EB110. And for a brief moment, it looked like Ford was serious about winning that fight. The story begins in 1995 at the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. Ford rolled out a car that looked like it had traveled back from the future. Sharp angles, deep air channels, a wedge-shaped body wrapped in carbon fiber and aluminum. This wasn't just another concept car with flashy paint and no engine. The GT90 was fully functional, and it introduced Ford's new Edge design language, a style that would later appear on everything from the Ford Focus to the Ford Mustang. But the design wasn't the most shocking part. Underneath the radical bodywork was something even more interesting. Instead of developing an entirely new platform, Ford engineers turned to a machine that already terrified the supercar world, the Jaguar X220. At the time, Ford Motor Company owned Jaguar cars, so engineers borrowed the Jaguar X220's chassis and transmission as a starting point. That decision gave the GT90 instant credibility, because the X220 had once held the title of the fastest production car in the world. If Ford could build something faster on that foundation, Europe might have had a problem. Then came the engine. Instead of adopting an existing power plant, Ford created something borderline insane. Engineers began with the company's modular 4.6-liter V8 architecture and stretched it. 2 cylinders were added to each bank. The result was a 5.9-liter V12. Then they bolted on 4 turbochargers. In the mid-1990s, only one other car attempted something similar, the Bugatti EB110. Ford claims the result produced 720 horsepower. That number alone was enough to shake the industry. But the performance targets sounded even more outrageous. Ford suggested the GT90 could reach 60 miles per hour in just over 3 seconds and exceed 250 miles per hour. In 1995, those numbers felt almost impossible. Even today, they're still supercar territory. But before the engine ever made its way into the GT90, Ford needed to test it somewhere. So engineers did something that sounds like a joke. They installed the quad-turbo V12 into a Lincoln town car. Yes, a massive luxury sedan became the unlikely test mule for one of the most extreme engines Ford had ever built. Imagine pulling up next to a quiet town car at a traffic light, completely unaware that it contained the heart of a 250-mile-per-hour supercar. By the time the GT90 prototype was ready, expectations were enormous. Journalists finally got a chance to drive it. But something strange happened. The car felt restrained. Later, engineers revealed why. They had locked the wastegates open, preventing the turbochargers from producing full boost. Officially, Ford claimed they weren't convinced the chassis could handle the engine's full power. So the GT90 the media drove was never the real GT90. And because of that decision, the world may never know exactly how fast the car truly was. Most concept cars eventually disappear. They're dismantled, crushed, or locked away in storage. But the GT90 survived. Today, the only example still exists, hidden in an unlikely place. The car sits at the Hajek Motorsports Museum, a small collection in a town of fewer than 200 people. One of the most ambitious American supercars ever created, quietly resting where few people expect to find it. And that raises an interesting question. If Ford actually built the GT90, if they unleashed a 250-mile-per-hour quad-turbo V12 supercar in 1995, Would it have changed the supercar world? Would it have beaten Europe at its own game? Or would it have become something even bigger than a legend? Because the Ford GT90 isn't just a concept car, it's one of the greatest what-ifs in automotive history. And sometimes the most fascinating cars are the ones that almost happened. So here's the question. If Ford announced tomorrow that they were finally building the GT90 exactly as originally intended, do you think it would still shock the world today?